welcome to the Bridges from School to Work podcast. I'm Jason Sorotin, and today we have a very special show. We're going to be talking about a very special committee inside of Bridges from School to Work. It's the Culture of Care and Compassion Committee, and I'm joined by two lovely folks, Ms. Amber Yeda and Mr. Chris Hamilton. How are you guys doing?
Very well,
doing well, thanks.
Now, Amber you are an outreach coordinator. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm the education outreach coordinator at the San Francisco site. And what that means is that I foster relationships with other organizations, and also I help young people find job trainings and enter college and universities.
And Chris is a youth employment specialist too, or as the team calls it, Yes To. Chris, tell everybody what Yes To does.
What we do is we make connections with teachers in schools to find young adults that are looking for jobs as they're about to graduate, and we help connect them to employers that match their skills, abilities, interest, and things like where they can work, when they can work, and all of their goals. So we try to help them set them up for success.
Love that. Amber, what inspired you to get involved with the Care and Compassion Committee?
Well, that is a great question. It started with an ask. So Kelly, I don't know her title. She does everything basically. She reached out to me and asked if I wanted to be a part of this committee, because I do care a lot about, just about like the wellness of the people that we serve, and also the culture of the company that we're in. I accepted, and I'm glad that I did.
Chris, how would you explain what the Culture of Care and Compassion Committee is and does?
I guess the way the Culture of Care and Compassion Committee, the way we came about our name is the organization wanted to make the step towards being a trauma-informed care agency. But we also wanted to make it more relatable to our staff and organization, and something that feels part of actually who we are, right? So what it is it's a very diverse group of people from across the country, from the organization, different sites, different levels of seniority. We all get together and we talk about what we can do to make us a more trauma-informed care organization. So the first step has been getting our certification. And the next steps are implementing our plans and making sure we get recertified. And, we're transforming our organization into something that is trauma-informed care.
Amber, what does this initiative mean to you personally and professionally?
Well, I would say personally, I'm going to think about that one for a second. So I would say, and also I want to add something to what Chris said, is that it's not as if Bridges before was not trauma informed and now we are. Like, a lot of it is just kind of getting, formalizing what we've already been doing and then doing it better, and like developing language and structures around it. So I just wanted to add that.
Well, what are the kinds of things that you guys are dealing with? Like, when somebody says trauma informed, what does that mean?
Oh, that's actually a really good question. So one way to think about it is that, when we think about trauma, sometimes people think about different things, right? They might think about like being in an accident, or they might think about, abuse, or there's a wide range of trauma. It's kind of like a spectrum. There are also things that you might not, that might not be obvious. One thing, for example, is like ways that you might be discriminated against. A lot of the folks that we work with, because they have, disabilities or different, however they identify themselves. Sometimes they have experienced discrimination, bullying, a lot of just difficulties, right? And those might have had like traumatic effects on them. We're not saying that like everybody that we serve has been traumatized. Like, we can't, those are things that we don't really know. But I think one way that I think about it is just that, like, you never really know what someone has been through. You never really know, like, what someone is going through. And so being trauma informed is also just like kind of having that extra empathy, like really working on like our interpersonal skills, and also just some of our like our protocols and things to more center people's agency, help them to feel safe, help them to feel like we're trustable people. And that also, that's not only the people that we serve, but it's also within the organization, because any group of people, like, you're going to have people who've been through traumatizing experiences.
Chris, as a trainer and a frontline educator, what are some of the traumas that you're seeing show up in the lives of your participants? And then how has that kind of shaped your perspective on trauma-informed care?
So that you probably want to take a step back. This is something I'm very passionate about. When the reason I got into the trauma informed, committee is because I had some experience through a previous organization, and it really impacted how I deal with on the ground level of talking to participants and the people we serve and understanding them, like Amber was saying. However, from our organization, we're first implementing it kind of on the organizational level. I think anybody that's been with a lot of organizations, things flow from the top down. So if we are walking the walk, we're also going to be able to, talk the talk. So at first, we're kind of implementing it at first within our organization. So we haven't gotten quite to the point to where, we're talking about this and how it affects our young adults, too much. We are providing a lot of extra trainings as part of the process. We are doing the steps of moving forward to provide the tools to our staff to implement trauma-informed care to our young adults. But first, we've got to take a look at ourselves and say, how can we walk the walk? How can we implement the things that we are doing, what we say we're doing within our organization that we want to do with our young adults? So,
I love that. Amber, in your role in education outreach, how do you see trauma-informed care shaping the way that we're engaging with participants, especially with youth with disabilities?
Yeah, I'll echo what Chris was saying. I think that this is a new committee, so we're still pretty early in our formalizing of things. But we're, we've already been trained to, like, for example, when we meet with students, like, we are looking at their IEPs, which is an individual educational plan. So a lot of the students who we work with have those, and that helps us to, like, just understand not just the areas where they might, like, be challenged, but also to, like, look for their strengths. So I think one thing is that we are really strengths based, and because most of our organization's work is about having these young people be job ready, helping them be aware of the standards of job readiness. We're kind of that in between. Like, we are literally a bridge to help them, like, where they're at, like, meet people where they're at, help them be aware that, like, there's professional standards that, when you're aware of them and when you can meet them, you're going to have a job, you're going to be successful in that job. It'll open up many doors for them, like, as they move into adulthood. And there was another point I was thinking of, but I lost it.
It's all good. I think that's a great time for us to quickly tell people that if they want to learn more about Bridges, go to bridgestowork.org. You can go click on the site, click get started, fill out the form, and you will be on your way. So Chris, I wanted to come back to you from your perspective in Dallas. What are some of the key needs and opportunities for integrating compassion and care more intentionally into the work culture?
So I think we do a pretty good job here in Dallas, and as an organization and as a whole. The way, just kind of like take another step back again. The way I think about trauma-informed care is kind of like every organization has a mission statement, right? The mission statement says this is who we are, this is what we're striving for. Ours is to empower young adults through the power of a job, right? So trauma informed care is an idea, is something that you feel is something you breathe, but there are different steps you're taking to get there. So to kind of understand what trauma informed care is there's a couple of key components to it. There are, you don't mind me looking, safety is one of the key components. We want to make sure everybody's, feeling safe. Trustworthiness and transparency, collaboration and mutuality, empowerment, voice and choice, cultural, historical, and gender issues, and peer support.
What's
So
mutuality? Sorry to interrupt. What's mutuality?
I guess you can describe it if you have a better explanation, Amber. But I think mutuality is kind of working together, being a mutual relationship.
Gotcha.
This is I guess for instance, when I'm talking to my young adults that I work with, I say, hey, this is what we're promising to do to you. These are what we expect. This is what you should expect from us. This is my role for you. This is your role with us. And as long as we do this, we're going to get along fine. And this is kind of the expectation. So I think that would be what I would describe as mutuality. So
that makes a lot of sense. It's like it's a contract of sorts that you're going to end up do your part and they're going to do their part, and with that you'll reach success.
So I think it's what trauma informed care to me really is about communication, relationship building, making everybody feel safe, secure, and have a sense of agency. There are, as human beings, there are always room for opportunity for growth. What we are doing now is as a committee, we've come across, we've gotten together and we've come up with a lot of things that we want to implement, and we've already started implementing some. And then some are kind of, hey, these are our goals down the road. This is what we plan. These are things we want to add. For instance, things such as a virtual suggestion box for people to be able to say, hey, this is an idea that I have that they can submit anonymously. That's something we've already implemented. Another would be we have a goal of having everything kind of centralized as resources for staff. So if we're able to communicate better, be more collaborative as a group, as an organization, then we'll be able to kind of follow up and do that with our youth as well. This is something that I am very excited for us to implement as an organization for our youth. And I think it's something that's going to help us really better understand where our youth are coming from, because they have a lot of adverse life just experiences that they have gone through and more than likely are still going through. So it helps us better kind of not only understand them and see them and give them a voice and some agency, but also for them to be able to feel heard and be able to have those relationships with us for us to better serve them, and to help them be successfully in their employed and in their journeys through life and everything.
That makes a lot of sense. Amber, how can storytelling, from the participants and Bridges, help support the goals of the initiative?
Well, I can think of one example. So there's a Bridges participant. He went through our program, got a job, went through college, got a degree, and so he's been in touch with his former YES, right? And knowing this, I have been able to connect him with students who are just finishing high school now and got accepted into the school that he went to. And so I've been fostering connections with this former student and these incoming students so that they can have an idea of what to expect, because that's actually a really big part of trauma-informed care, is getting as much information to the participants as possible so that they know what to expect and they're not just going into something, without clueless or
that makes sense.
Yeah. And so that's been one example. So he's able to give them tips on, how to navigate the system, where, while also needing accommodations or, it's because we serve such a diversity of people with, different diagnoses, different challenges. It's really not like a one size fits all. And I think that's also, I don't know. I think it's one of the challenges of our organization is like we all kind of like do things in our particular ways based as individuals and as like our areas. And so I think this seems like a really fitting way to sort of infuse it into the culture of our organization, and then we are able to like more intentionally and thoughtfully like use these practices when we're out in the field.
Yeah, it sounds like what you're saying is it's about mentorship from the students once they get out, that they've overcome these struggles, that they've overcome the traumas, and through your guys' help and teaching and dealing with those, it sounds like you guys aren't telling them to bury them away. It's work through them, push through, and find a brighter path at the end so that you can have a better life. Is that pretty much the takeaway?
I would say so, yeah. And that is one of the principles that Chris had mentioned. Like peer support is a really big part of it because they'll understand things about each other's experience that I can't, and also they don't have to use that language. Like I think sometimes our young people, especially, are like very aware of what kind of language they use for themselves. Most of them do not identify as having a disability, even though legally, like, or based on the boxes and the labels that our structures put on them, like they have them. So even like I would say most of our young people would not even identify as like having survived trauma or anything like that. Like they have different ways of talking about it. And so I think putting them together in spaces helps them to be able to talk through them without, this sort of service provider lens that they might not relate to.
Makes sense. Chris, what does a trauma-informed Bridges look like a year from now?
I mean, we're still Bridges. I think just because of who we are, what we do, we are already trauma-informed care. And the certification, is good to have, but we are already, it doesn't change who we are at our core, right? So it just looks like an organization that we continue to try to hold ourselves accountable, try to improve, try to do better. We're implementing all these different strategies that we're coming up with our community. Hey, this is our goals. This is our plan. This is what we are implementing. So it's an organization that I think we feel more connected, more a sense of agency. One of the things that I think that is a good example coming out from the committee when we started talking is we're all out in the schools, which, there's a lot of, things that can happen in schools nowadays. So every time we step into a school, some of us may be thinking, hey, what's our exit plan if something happens? We don't always all feel safe going into schools. And so this may not be something that's been kind of discussed. So going back to safety and collaboration and agency, how do we implement tools to provide the training, how to provide the supports, to provide what to do in different situations as an organization that we might not have thought about to implement before. So we're coming up with these ideas from everybody in the organization, and we are just working better to get together more collaboratively.
Amber, as a final note, for students who are struggling with trauma, other than going to the website and going to see what Bridges can do, what would you suggest for people to do locally, like tools that might be available to them in their local communities or things like that?
Through the collaboration of our committee, we have been able to like identify some things already. And one thing that came out from our site is that now we have like an LCSW on call basically to help us, because there are times when we're dealing with very heavy things, like we might have, participants who express, not wanting to be alive anymore, or, things that are very heavy. And those, we can sort of show up better for ourselves in our lives and for the people we serve when we are supported. And so now we have on call a social worker who can help us through those things. And then what I would say to the question that you just posed. Like what should people do? They should definitely reach out. I don't have the numbers right ahead of me. I know that there's a 988 number now that didn't used to be there. And so just definitely like reach out. If people are participants in our program, like talk to your YES, talk to your job counselors. Like we have a lot of resources. That's also one of the things that I do is like, if I'm working with somebody and they need help that's beyond my scope, I refer them. I build relationships with organizations so that I can know that these are trustable organizations that I'm sending them to. So I'm not just saying, like, if I'm working with somebody one-on-one, I'm not going to tell them call 988 because I will say, hey, go to this person, tell them that and I would help them fill out the form, and I would check in with them and say, hey, did you call that number? And really try to like make sure that the connection is a warm connection, that it's a warm handoff from one agency to another. And then, I check with that service provider, hey, have you talked to so-and-so? Oh, okay. Are things working okay with them? Like it's a much, it's not as cold as just like,
That goes to that safety feeling that you guys were talking about. It's all about making people feel safe. And I feel like Bridges does a really great job at that. You don't have to be shy or ashamed or scared. There are great people at Bridges on the other end ready to help you. And they're an incredible group of people. I want to encourage everybody to go to bridgestowork.org. Go to that website, click the Get It Started button. It's going to take you to this page here. Need help finding a job? It's time for you to make that bridge. Family members, yourself, loved ones, employers, anybody who's interested in participating in the program can do so on this page. I want to thank Amber and Chris for their time today and the amazing work they do. If you want to get in touch with either of them, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you all?
For me, email is the best. So it's amber.yeda@bridgestowork.org. Feel free to reach out anytime.
Awesome. And Chris?
And for me, you can either go to the Dallas website if you are interested for the Bridges to Work. There should be a tab on the website that was just shared. You can submit an interest form, and that'll get you to the best person in Dallas. But if you want to get to me directly, you can use my name, chris.hamilton@bridgestowork.org as well.
I want to thank you both for all that you do. I want to thank the entire Bridges from School to Work team and our podcast team here. We will see you next time.